Welcome back to the Anfield Exchange. It's finished Crystal Palace 3, Liverpool 0. And I want to dive into this game a little bit because, listen, I don't like what I'm seeing on social media. I don't like a lot of the takes that I'm seeing. I think there's a lot of people out there who are just saying things to try and get interactions. A lot of it is Arne Slot should be sacked. Completely disagree with that. Now, was his team selection the right selection last night? Get in the comments, let me know. I thought he would play the youth. I thought he would play the second string players in this game. I thought that maybe he would have gone a little bit stronger, but then when you look at the injuries that Liverpool have got, you can sort of understand why he's landed on the team that he's landed on. I think, listen, let's start off by saying Liverpool haven't beaten Crystal Palace in the last 4 attempts. That's the last 4 attempts with our starting 11 out. So, look, we obviously struggle against Crystal Palace. There's nothing to say if we did play a strong team last night that we would have come away with a victory. And if that would have happened, it would have been an absolute uproar because everybody would have been saying, why has Arne Slot played a strong team? We should have played a weak team and put a strong team out, give ourselves the best chance of beating Aston Villa at the weekend because we need to get a league campaign back on track. I think this is a situation where Arne Slot simply could not win with some of the fans. Listen, you're all allowed to have your opinions. Get in the comments and let me know your opinions on Arne Slot. But I'm very much Arne Slot in. I disagree with people that are saying after a run of 6-7 games that he should be sacked. I think we are Liverpool Football Club. We don't work that way. And if he hasn't gained enough credit in the bank with you guys from what he did last season, look, take it into account. He's coming to Liverpool Football Club. The biggest job he's had. He's won the league in the first season. He's not brought any players in, bar Fede Chiesa, who didn't play many minutes last year. He's won the title in his first season. We as fans have celebrated that title for the first time in 35, 40 years. Not only that, he's now had to put up with this summer effectively a rebuild at the squad. We've replaced our left back. We've replaced our right back. We've replaced our attacking midfielder. We've replaced our left winger. We've replaced our striker, our backup striker. And not only that, he's having to his player died a few months ago. Diogo Jota sadly passed away a few months ago. And look, I never, when this happened and I make content as often as I can, I never wanted to use this as an excuse for poor performances. And that's not what I'm doing. But if you can't give this manager your time of day, if you can't back this manager now, then what are we doing? What are we doing? We don't want to be Man United, Chelsea. We don't want to be those teams that just get rid of a manager because they're going through a bad patch. Listen, Jurgen Klopp, okay, I understand when Jurgen Klopp came into the club, he had a bigger task of rebuilding the squad than what Arne Slot had. Arne Slot came into a ready-made club. But Jurgen Klopp took 4 years to win the trophy, to win the Premier League trophy. Arteta, who it looks like potentially might go on and win the Premier League this year. Arteta is in, season 5, season 6, nearly £1 billion later. You have to have patience with these managers. Arne Slot has come in and done a fantastic job. And he's probably made a rod for his own back because he's built expectations. And listen, we see people on social media, and again, it's so ludicrous what I see. At the beginning of the season, when we signed Wirtz, we signed Isak, we signed Ekatike, we signed Kirkes, Frimpong. When we sign these players, everyone say, "Oh, we're going to win a quadruple." Well, this is a quadruple that has never been won in English football history. It's not something that has ever been done. Why would we believe that that's going to happen? It's just setting yourselves up for failure. What I will say, the form hasn't been good enough, and Arne Slot needs to find reasons as to why it's not been good enough. I saw some promising things tonight, and I'm going to delve into them in this video. I think the overreaction on social media is ridiculous. Obviously, we've got a big game this weekend against Aston Villa. I would rather we go out of the 2 domestic cup competitions, but we give everything we've got in the league and the Champions League. And I would rather go out of them and give everything in those 2 major competitions and still not win them. Because I can't accept that we're just going to give up on the league and give up on the Champions League to win a Carabao Cup. It's ludicrous. And that's effectively what we're asking for if we're saying, let's put a strong team out tonight. Because I guarantee, if we'd have put a strong team out and then we go and lose against Aston Villa, everybody turns around and says, why didn't we rest our players in midweek? That's exactly what would happen. We're just reacting to this result that, in the grand scheme of things, look, it doesn't matter. We've put some kids out there. We got some minutes into players' legs that we needed to get it into. We've given some experience to some of the younger lads. Listen, I'm not too bothered about that performance and that game last night. But what I will say, I want to talk about the game itself and the tactics, because something was clear to me. Arne Slot is trying to find solutions to the problems we have, and we have got a lot of problems at a minute. But the biggest problem we have, and I've said this a few times on previous videos, the biggest problem we have is conceding goals. And I don't want to hear about last night. I don't want to hear, oh, well, we still conceded 3 goals. Yes, we did, but we had 3 centre-backs on the pitch in Endo, Gomez and Robertson. We had a right-back that's not played for us for 4 years. So we were always going to concede goals against Premiership opposition, very good Premiership opposition as well in Crystal Palace, who had nearly a full-strength team out. I think when they brought Mateta on in the second half, they pretty much did have a full-strength team out. So we were always going to concede goals last night. I don't think we were ever going to win that game when you look at the 2 squads that were announced, but that's fine by me. But what I did see is he's tried a new formation there. When we saw the squads announced, it looked like he was playing a 4-2-3-1, but you couldn't quite pin who was playing in the midfield and who was in the number 10 position, who was going to be the striker. But what we did see from the first 5 minutes was how Endo dropped into a back 3, which I actually don't mind. I think that not only does that secure us defensively, especially when we get Van Dijk, Canate, and say Gomez in there, or Andy Robertson even in there. I think Andy Robertson could be a good shout, because I said in the game against Brentford there were a few things with Van Dijk and Kerkez that I weren't happy with in terms of Van Dijk putting pressure on Kerkez, throwing his hands in the air, giving him dirty looks. I actually thought Kerkez looked more comfortable when playing next to Robertson, like the pressure was off him. But it would definitely solidify us as a back 5, and what it would do, it would play to the strengths of Milos Kerkez, who we signed as an attacking wing back, who's somebody who can get up the pitch and contribute in the final third. And Jeremy Frimpong, when he's back from injury, I actually think a back 5 would suit those 2 players. Now, what you do with the rest of the team, there's a debate in there, because you're still looking to try and get Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, Florian Wirtz. You're still trying to get them players in there. If you've got a back 5, then that sort of, you struggle with that, and certainly with your wingers as well in Gakpo and Salah. So listen, I like that he was trying that. I think he's also trying to accommodate the players that are available, because let's not forget, Liverpool have got a lot of injuries. We've got Alisson out at the minute. Curtis Jones took a knock. Gravenberch is out. Isak's out. Frimpong's out. We have got injuries. Conor Bradley, who is injury prone. Joe Gomez injury prone. So we have got injuries. We've got problems in the lineup of it. And I'm sure if a lot of those players were available, then I think we'd have probably seen a little bit stronger of a team, but still a team that probably won't play this weekend against Aston Villa. So yeah, I actually thought Kerkez did okay. I thought he played well. Certainly second half, when we were trying to push to get back into the game, I thought he was very good going forward. And I thought he did okay defensively as well. So again, social media, and listen, you can't always believe what you see on social media. There's a massive agenda against Kerkez, just like there is against Gakpo. I think Kerkez was fine for me today. Last night. Kerkez was fine for me. And what I did see from that formation, the change in formation, was we looked a lot more compact. We looked a lot more organised. We looked like we defended as a team. I think where we did struggle was getting the ball up the pitch and holding the ball up the pitch. But I think that would come with better players on the pitch, with our first team players on the pitch. But yeah, we looked compact. We looked organised. And in the first half, barring the 2, I think there was a first mistake from Joe Gomez where he probably should have put his foot through it. And then the second goal for Palace was a brilliant goal. We've played some nice triangles, got in behind the defence and scored. There's not really anything you can do about that. But barring them two moments, Palace didn't threaten Liverpool. We equally didn't really threaten Palace. But when you're trying to solve the first problem, which is conceding goals, I think with our first team on the pitch, we can do that in that formation. Now, whether Arne Slot will use that formation going forward in the league or in the more important games, I'm not so sure. But I did see some positive signs from playing in a different system, in a different formation, because effectively off the ball we had 5 defenders, but then on the ball we had 3 centre-backs, we had 3 defenders, and Kirkes and Calvin Ramsey pushed forward to help out in midfield and try and get us up the pitch. So yeah, I saw promising signs. I thought it was interesting, and it's good to see that he is trying things like this game. Like I say, this game was an experiment for me. This game was let's try something different, see if we can have any joy, and then maybe see if we can implement it. If it works here, maybe see if we can implement it into the league, into the Champions League. So yeah, he's still trying to get things to work, and I think it wasn't the worst performance I've ever seen, especially when you take into account that we did have some young players on the pitch. We had a very young bench. And yeah, all in all, look, the game didn't really matter. Yes, we don't want Liverpool to lose. We don't want to go out of cup competitions. But in the grand scheme of things, we're in a situation where, listen, let's put all our eggs in these baskets of the Premier League and the Champions League. We're not bothered about the Carabao Cup. We're not bothered about the FA Cup. We'll have another try at them next year. But right now, let's try and get back into this title race in the Premier League, and let's try and get some momentum in the Champions League, because we've got a tough game coming up against Real Madrid. I want to talk about player performances, because I actually think there were some decent performances in there. Again, contrary to what social media will tell you, I actually thought McAllister, certainly for the first sort of 60 minutes, I thought he was okay. I thought he did very well. The first 20 to 25 minutes, I thought he looked brilliant. He looked like the old McAllister. I think he dropped off towards the end. Again, more fitness issues. But it was, for me, that first half was probably the best half I've seen McAllister play this season. I thought he did very well. He was making good progressive passes. And he was in the face pressing. He was winning the ball back. I thought as a team we actually, certainly in the first 20 minutes, I thought we pressed very well as well. And I think, again, it's hard to envisage what we did last night with the team that we will put out on Saturday, or the team we've put out in previous matches that have had more meaning. But we pressed from the front last night, and there were one occasion where Crystal Palace got a goal kick. We had 4 players basically cutting off the passing lines, forcing Palace to go long, and it worked very well. The problem you've got is, and I don't want this to turn into an agenda against Salah, because it's not, but the problem you've got is when Mo Salah and Cody Gakpo are on the pitch, I don't think they're the best at pressing. I don't think they're the quickest, and I don't think they're there to do the press. So I think that it sort of falls down when you bring them into the team. But again, going back onto the performances, I thought the back three did quite well in Robertson, Gomez, and Endor. I thought we played quite well, but obviously we've conceded 3 goals, so it's hard to see that. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. Other than the 2 moments in the first half, they kept Crystal Palace quiet. They defended set pieces well. They got their heads on the ball. They were closing down men. There was an occasion where Robbo, I thought, was getting outdone by Ismail Assar down the right-hand side, but he managed to get back, and I think he gave a corner away. I think Chiesa as well. Look, that was tough for Chiesa last night. I think, firstly, I think it's unfair to put Chiesa in these mismatched teams. He doesn't seem to get a run of games, or any games really. He doesn't get starts with Liverpool's first 11 with higher quality players. I think it's unfair to put him in games where we've got young players in and we've got people trying to find fitness. We're experimenting with formation, because Chiesa last night he was pressing. He worked his arse off last night, and I thought it was tough because there wasn't the chemistry up front. when Rio, certainly Rio and Chiesa together, that didn't seem to work. I think there were occasions where Rio could have gave it to Chiesa, but then I think there were occasions where Chiesa probably could have given it to Rio as well. But it was very much like, I want to make something happen. I want to be the name. I want to be the hero, and it didn't really work. And obviously Morrison on the other side as well. Look, it was his debut. It wasn't his best performance, but he did okay coming into a team that has been struggling, and yeah, look, it's a tough matchup against Crystal Palace, so I thought he did okay. Not really much to write home about. I actually, to be honest, I was quite disappointed in Rio. I was excited to see Rio start this game. I thought his decision making in the final third was not the greatest. There were a couple of opportunities where he could have chose a better option. But on the ball, his touch, his dribbling, it's all there in it. We know how good Chiesa can be. I think not Chiesa, Rio. I think the thing for me with Rio is, in previous performances, pre-season and his appearances off the bench, we've seen a Rio that looks like he's developed and he's making the right choices in the final third. I think last night we didn't really see that, and we saw the Rio back last year when he played against Accrington Stanley that was just trying to beat his man, and he was making the wrong decisions. So, yeah, look, not his finest performance, but he is still young, very, very young, and he is going to be a superstar. I have no doubt in that. I thought, in terms of the youth performances, I thought Trey Nyoni was quite quiet last night. I think for me, the standout performance was actually Calvin Ramsey. I mean, we've not seen him for 4 years. Everybody's forgot about him, and he's come in last night, and he's actually looked really good on the ball, good defensively, composed, good at passing. I thought everything about Calvin Ramsey's performance last night was brilliant. I just think the biggest issue last night was the fact that there was a lack of chemistry in the team, a lack of chemistry between the players, and you could tell these players hadn't really played with each other too much before. Nalo, I mean, he came on, he made his debut in the Champions League against PSV. I think he got sent off after about 3 minutes, straight red card. He's now made his Carabao Cup debut and got sent off after about 20 odd minutes again. Last man, similar to the PSV one, to be fair. Look, you got to feel bad for the lad because he's getting his opportunities, but I think he's finding himself in the wrong positions at the wrong times, and that's two red cards now. I saw a stat that Nalo's played 27 minutes or something for Liverpool, and he's had 2 red cards, which it's madness. I do think potentially there's a defender there, but I think it's tough to bring players in, especially young players. It's tough to bring these players into situations where it is mismatched, and it is a tough game for these players to come into, because it would be a lot easier if Nalo had come in for, say, Canate and was playing alongside Van Dijk and alongside Bradley and these experienced players. But when you're coming in and you get left in situations where he didn't really have a choice, did he? I don't think he intentionally tried to bring him down, or I don't even think he tried to bring him down. I think, was it Yeremy Pino? He just cut across him, and there's not really much you can do in that situation. So I do feel bad for him, and yeah, I'm sure he'll come good. But look, I think it was vital last night as well for some of the players in McAllister and Joe Gomez to get Joe Gomez, I don't know how many minutes did he come off as sub, but both of them got some good minutes into the legs. I thought it was telling to see the first substitutions were McAllister and Robbo to come off. I think that pretty much tells you that they may be starting at the weekend. The Robbo one doesn't surprise me, because I think Robbo's probably at the minute for Robbo, he's our short-term solution to the problems in defence. So I think he will start at left back. McAllister maybe surprised me a little bit, but maybe it comes down to Curtis Jones and Gravenberch not being available. Is Arne Slot going to be looking at a potential McAllister and Szoboszlai double pivot at the weekend? with Florian Wirtz in front. I think that's what it looks like he's going to be heading towards from what I saw tonight. But yeah, listen, it's hard because obviously none of us like losing. None of us want to lose. None of us want to see Anfield after 70 minutes where the fans have left. And do you know what I mean? It's the whole aura about the game last night. It was off. And yes, Arne Slot has to take some responsibility for that. But equally, it's not the priority. And what I'm seeing on social media, Arne Slot should be leaving. It's... sorry, I'm tired. Tired of watching Liverpool. The narrative that I'm seeing on social media where Arne Slot's to blame for all these problems, I don't think that's true. Yes, he has his faults and there's things that he needs to do better. But I think the players have to take some responsibility as well. So I don't know. I don't agree with anyone saying that Arne Slot should be sacked because I think he's done too much for the football club in such a short space of time. But let me know in the comments. Get in the comments down below and let me know. Are you Arne Slot in? Are you Arne Slot out? I hope most of you are Arne Slot in because he's brought some fantastic times for us, and I think what we saw last year from Arne Slot, certainly up until we won the Premier League trophy, I think what we saw from Arne Slot last year is he is a very, very good manager, and he will get this right. He will get this right. This run won't go on forever. Look, we got 3 very, very tough games. We got Aston Villa at home, we got Man City away, and then we got Real Madrid in the Champions League, and then it's the international break. I think what we need to do... Oh, sorry. I think what we need to do, and we said this on the last international break, we just need to get to that international break, take a breather, and then I think we come back and we've got Nottingham Forest at home, I think it is, which under Sean Dyche at Anfield, maybe we can start to get the momentum then. I think we'll beat Villa at the weekend, if I'm honest. I think we will beat Aston Villa at the weekend. I think the Man City game will be a lot trickier, and I actually feel okay about Real Madrid game. The thing with Aston Villa, Man City and Real Madrid, and this is where we might be surprised by Arne Slot and by Liverpool, is that's 3 teams that are not going to play with a low block. And I know we've all heard too much about it from Arne Slot, and I do think he needs to stop talking about it because I think it's inviting teams to play that way. But then 3 teams will not play with a low block, and it should on paper allow Liverpool to play football how we want to play football. So I think you can really judge from the next 3 games how Liverpool have played and what the results are. If we come away from them 3 games and we've lost all 3 games, then I think there will be... I think it's valid to have a conversation about why has it got wrong, why has it gone wrong, and how can we improve it. But I certainly don't think there should be any conversations about Arne Slot being sacked this season. I think you got to give him a season, let him get it right, and let him just get Liverpool back to where we need to be. I think it looks very likely that Arsenal are going to be the competition. I think Man City will be up there as well. But Arsenal are the team to beat, and I think what Arsenal have in their favour is a very good defensively. We've been working on this for 2 years, but we're grinding out results as well now. So they will be the competition. I think as Liverpool fans, yes, we've got to go and try and get back into that Premier League title race. I don't think we're out of it yet, but I think potentially, depending how these next 2 Premier League games go, by the international break, if Arsenal have got a flawless record, we may be out of it. I think we have to take into consideration as well, at the beginning of the season, with everything that went on with Diogo and with the amount of change that's happened at the club. We can't go into this. We can't go into every season saying Liverpool will win the league and the Champions League, because that's unrealistic. Jurgen Klopp in 9 years won 1 Premier League trophy and 1 Champions League. I think a reasonable expectation for Liverpool this year would be top 4. That's the priority. That's priority number 1. No manager has ever been judged. No Liverpool manager has ever been judged on how many Carabao Cups or FA Cups they've won. The Premier League, Champions League are the big two. The priority should be getting into the Champions League because we need Champions League football. Then below that is, right, let's go and try and win the Premier League and try and win the Champions League. But you don't go into it expecting to win these competitions because they're tough competitions to win. Let's just manage expectations this season. Yes, if we can get back into the title race, it'll be nice. But let's just go into the season with, let's finish in the top 4. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Let's go into it with that mindset. And anything else is a bonus. I think you've just got to let him get it right. Because he's earned that. In my opinion, he's earned that. Listen, I'm starting to ramble, but just please don't turn on Arne Slot yet. Obviously, I know you all got opinions and you all have your own opinions, but Arne Slot, I cannot express. Liverpool Football Club, we do not work in this manner where we just sack managers because they've had a tough few weeks. It's just not what we do. Back the manager, back the boys. We will get this right. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'll see you on the next one.